Welcome to the Joe CMS 2.0 overview. In this video, I'm going to go over the dashboard, the page manager, file manager, site settings, e-commerce functionality, global areas, coupon manager, and plugins. This is going to be a very basic overview. In later videos, I'm going to get much more detailed on each one of these elements. So with that being said, let's get started and head over to the back end. All right, now that we're logged in the back end, the first page you'll be presented with is the dashboard. Now the dashboard is going to contain certain items like the unique page hits up here in the top right. Basically, this is every page that you have active on your site, how many times it's been hit, okay, uniquely, okay? Underneath that, you're going to have recent updates. And this is where I'll display the most recent updates, bug fixes, anything like that, that will be displayed here. Underneath that, we'll have our random quote, just something to make your day a little bit better. And then under that, we have buttons to some commonly used areas of the website. So things you want to get to quick right off the dashboard, that will be presented here. You can also add other quick buttons yourself. I'll show you that in later videos, which makes it very, very handy and very useful. So with that being said, let's move over to the page manager. Now to get to that, we're going to click on pages and we're going to go to page manager. All right, let me note that this is a fresh install of Joe CMS 2.0. So this is what's installed right off the bat as default pages. All right, so you got your home page, which is the root page. You have about us page, contact us page, privacy policy, terms and conditions, which are pages that are very helpful for like setting up Facebook appies and things like that, which I'll also show you in the site settings. And then we have our 404 page, which is if a page isn't found, you can customize that right here in the page manager. So in here, you can drag and drop your ordering just by left clicking and moving items around, and then just click on save page order, and it will save that in the navigation if it's active in the navigation. So you also have view, edit, and duplicate. So you can duplicate pages, edit, that's how you edit pages here, and view will open it so you can actually see the page. Like I said, this is a default install, no design, nothing done to it, okay? You also have the ability to create a new page. So up top where it says add new page, just put your page in. So if I put in test page and click create page, we have a new page called test page right here, okay? And then we can reorder that as we wish. You can also put pages underneath pages. You can go as deep as you want. So basically, if you wanted to have sub menus under pages, you can do that in here. And that can all be changed when you go to edit page. So for example, if I wanted to put in a page under test page, I would just call this is a sub page under test page. And then we'll notice that we will be taken right here. So now we can keep adding pages under test page. The I next to the page name, that's for indicating that you've indexed this. It comes in handy if you're doing SEO work. I'll get into that later as well, but that's what that I stands for. If we click on the I, basically it means that we've indexed that page and it put us back into the page manager. So if we click on the plus next to test page right here, we're looking at all the sub pages under test page. So that's the page manager in a nutshell. There's a lot more to that I'm going to get into in the next video series on Joe CMS 2.0. So let's see what else we have under pages. So if we click on trash can, if we delete any page, it's going to show here. So if I go back to page manager and I click on, well, let's go ahead and delete the test page because that's going to delete 2 pages actually. So if we click on that and then we go to the trash can, we're going to see the test page, which has that sub page underneath that as well, which we can restore right here. Okay. Now, if we go back to pages or the page manager, you'll see the test page back in here with its sub pages. So even if you remove something, don't worry, you can retrieve it. It's still there. So let's go ahead and move on to the file manager, which is basically a very important element to Joe CMS. So let's click on files and go to file library. Now in here, this is where you can upload any type of file format you pretty much want to upload, from zip to PNG, JPEG, MP4s, PDF. That can all be uploaded here. All right. The page manager is used in every plugin and anything that involves uploading an image, a video, a PDF, a zip file, and that could all be done in here. So let me give you an example. If you wanted to upload something, you would just click on add files And then we can put this in a category. So there are no categories yet. This is a brand new install. But if I type something in, we'll call this website elements, okay? And then I'll choose a file. So let me grab just the background, open, and upload. You could do multiple at the same time, all right? So now we have a new image that we've added to our file library. And then we see here, it has the details. But now if we go up to the filters up here, we'll see we have website elements. So if I click on website elements, it's going to show what I put in for that category. So you can kind of keep your files organized in the file library. It's a very, very powerful section of the backend, and you'll be using this a lot because it's incorporated, like I said, into all the plugins, basically, if it involves uploading some type of media. All right, so that's how that works. If you wanted to download everything in a specific category that you've created, just click on the category here. And if you choose download files, it'll take everything that you have in that category, it will zip it and then automatically download it. So if you had, say, a category that you needed all the PDFs, you could just download them. You know, that's why naming the categories is important. If you wanted to take an existing file, so let's go back, I'm gonna go just back to the file library, and we wanted to move this into a different category, we could just click on change category, click an existing one, or name a new one. So things can be moved around in here. So it makes it very, very helpful. And if we go to files and then file categories, this is where we can manage the names of the categories that we created. So you can, if we wanted this to be called just elements, we could just click on edit next to that and just call it elements. All right, so we'll do that. And it'll automatically update everything that was attached to that. All right, so that's basically the file management system in a nutshell. Okay, moving on. Settings. Now, this will be different depending on the user's credentials. So you basically have two different types of users in the Joe CMS 2.0 backend. You have your administrator and you have a content provider. Okay, so certain things that are kind of critical to the site that you don't want just anyone touching, like the site settings or the mail settings, that won't be shown. Here it's being shown because obviously I am the administrator of this website. So we'll start at the top. So navigation, even though I said in the page manager, you can move things around here, the first item up here in the settings is navigation. So you have two basic forms of navigation. You have your main navigation, which if we preview the website, again, this is a fresh install. You have your top navigation and your footer navigation down here, okay? Now, this is the top level navigation. So anything that's active in the main nav is gonna show in here. So it makes it kind of easier to move things around. That's why I made this extension of the page manager for both the main top nav and the footer nav. So if we move things around in here and we hit save navigation and we refresh the page, you'll notice the changes in real time. Okay, so that's how that works. So moving down from there, we have website styles. Now, the website styles are basic to the content area they're in. So we have our default styles, which is the default across the entire site. So if you wanted to define all your H1 tags, your paragraph tags, your A or href tags, your bullet lists, your ordered and numbered bullet lists, that's all done in here. So you can basically define everything, as well as setting your background and your header. So for example, on the site, we have this top section here. We have our header section here, our nav section here. So if we look here, we have our top header style. So this is where we can basically add all that. Now I can do a video completely on the properties section, because every plugin, every element of the site uses this in every block, every area, every bit of content. So that could be kind of a little overwhelming. So I'm going to try to just browse over it for now and just explain that this is here. Okay. And I'm going to get in much more depth in how this works. Okay. So that's the website styles. The site logo, basically you can change the site logo. That's going to appear here because that's this theme. Okay. That's where the logo would go. So, and we also have meta schema. Okay. Now this is the default schema data and meta tag information for the entire site. So every page of the website can have its unique schema/meta information. But if it doesn't, which in many cases it's not, you can define it here and it'll override that. So this is kind of like a way to fill it in if it's not there. All right, this is your share image for sharing, for example, on Facebook. It'll pull this image in. And like I said, the file manager works across the board. If we click on replace share image, sorry, I popped the mic. My mic is very sensitive. It brings us right to the file manager, the same one we were just in, and we would just select an image or upload one, just like I just showed you when we were talking about the file library. And it's changed here. Okay, so let's move on from there and go to plugins. Now, this is a list of all the plugins that are currently installed and active in Joe CMS 2.0. Pretty much everything you would need to work with a website, you're going to find the ability to do it with a plugin that I custom wrote right here. Okay, so that's how that works. Everything from custom HTML, event calendars, form builders, build your own contact forms, employment, hiring forms, whatever you can think of, there's a plugin in here that will handle it. All right. I've been doing this for a long time, and this is basically the arsenal of tools that I would need to make a website. So you using Joe CMS 2.0, you have that as well. All right, I'll move on from there. So now we have profile users. Now, this is going to change depending upon the access that you have logged into the back end. So if you are an administrator, you are going to see basically what I'm looking at right here. So you can add users to the back end, remove users, update their passwords, whatever you want to do with that user, you can control from here. So you have two different types of permissions. You have your content provider, which is selected by default, and then you have administrator. And all you do is you simply put in their email address. It will email them a password, a default password, which they can log in and change, and a link to log into the back end. So you can add your own user base based on whether you want people to be administrators or just content providers, with somewhat of a limited section of access to the back end. Okay, so that's pretty cut and dry right there. If we move on from there, we have mail settings. Okay, now the mail settings is going to be the SMTP if you want to specify using an email address to have the site send email out, which I recommend. But by built in, I have the PHP mailer that will send mail out. So if you don't put this information in here, the site will still work, but it won't be as efficient as if you had put in legit SMTP settings. Okay, so this is basically set up to send out like a real email client. Okay, and if you click on test mail settings, it'll come back and let you know that it went through. Okay, in the new window, so you can close that. All right, so let's go ahead and move on. Now we have mail log. All right, now the mail log, anything that is sent from the website. Okay, so if you had, for example, a contact form and it was sent out through the website, it will be in here. So if you didn't get an email for some odd reason, or you deleted it not knowing you deleted it, or it went into like your spam directory, okay, it will be here. So you'll never lose anything. It will be here. Like I said, this is a default install. So we have an email in here right now, and this is from the test mail that I just sent, because it actually sent an email out. And if we click on view, all right, we can see that this is the mail. Hey, your SMTP settings are working fabulously, and the mail was sent from the website. Okay, moving on from there, we have our themes. Now, these are the themes that you can choose from. Most of the time, I'm going to be making a custom one for you. All right, so you'll have that in here. But right out of the bat, you can basically make a site from one of these pre-built themes that I've made. All right, and I'll be adding these in all the time. So if you're going to be building it on your own, you should have plenty to work with. All right, and finally, the last section of settings is going to be site settings. All right. This is going to contain your domain name. In my case, I'm using a subdomain name off of joecms.info, which is tutorial.joecms.info. The website brand name, okay, right there. And then you have some settings here. Enable, disable SSL. That's going to be checked all the time, especially since you're using this, and every site has got an SSL certificate, so we're going to be good there. Enable, disable cache. So this will actually disable cache. So if you're in the design mode, you don't have to worry about clearing your cache in your browser every 5 minutes. It will just, what I do is I put a version of the CSS that's written in automatically. If you have this turned off, if you have it turned on, it's basically you're writing on cache, better performance of the site, better speed test with Google, and etc. All right, font awesome. Okay, you'll notice if we look at the front right here, there's no Font Awesome icons. By default, in the initial install, I got some Font Awesome icons happening here. We can close that now. So if I enable Font Awesome right here, and then we go back to the page and look at it, see we got some Font Awesome icons happening there. All right. So that basically is a quick overview of everything under settings. Now the e-commerce section, okay, Joe CMS completely supports both PayPal and Stripe. So you could basically, you know, accept credit cards on your site, debit cards, Apple Pay, whatever you want, it will handle all that. And much like the page manager, that's how the e-commerce section works, except we're dealing with products. All right, so you could basically create your own categories for your products. This is where you would add your products in. Brands, you can create brands for your products. You have a settings, which is where you would set up your PayPal settings or your Stripe settings, or both. You can actually use both hand in hand in the checkout. So I'm going to do a whole video just alone on the e-commerce functionality of Joe CMS 2.0. It's actually my favorite part of my CMS. All right. And then you have orders. So that'll show you all the orders that you had come in. And let's move on to global areas. Now, global areas are basically hard-coded elements that are built into the theme that you can basically deploy and be universal across all your pages in certain areas. So for example, if we look at the front end right here, we have top left header. Okay, so that would be right here where it says top left header. So if we go ahead and click on edit content here, and we go ahead and add some stuff in, okay, and save it, we'll notice that that change happens up top here, okay, and that will be across every page. So if we go to contact us, so global areas is a way to really customize to a theme for areas that are going to be consistent among, you know, multiple pages. Okay, so and it works much like everything that you would be working with in the page manager. So it utilizes all the plugins that you would be using. So everything that you have in the site you can put in there. All right, that's a real custom section. But mostly you'll be working in the page manager and editing pages where you can completely control everything that you have going on. All right. Moving on from there, we have the coupons. All right. Now, coupons are where you can add coupons to the website and then pull them in through what I have as a coupon droplet plugin. All right, so the coupons are really cool because you can basically, they generate like a unique coupon code. You could set dates to when they expire, and then they get emailed out to the people when they redeem them. I'm going to have a video just on that because that would be overwhelming in a video like this where it's just an overview. Okay, so that's a really cool feature to the back end. Very helpful for businesses to offer coupons to people to share, you know, on social networks, and, you know, keep track of their customers who are using the coupons and redeeming them. All right, and then the final one you have is the preview. Okay, and that's just simply going to bring you to the front end of the site. So that'll conclude the basic overview of Joe CMS 2.0, and I'm going to have more videos in detail, laying out the different types of editing you can do, from the e-commerce to the coupons to the page manager. So have a wonderful day or evening, depending on what time you watch this, and Joe out.